back here at Roach's Automotive. This is a 2022 Volkswagen Atlas. So we're going to do the oil pan on it. This is good for anyone that maybe has a leaking oil pan, or just wants to do an oil change. We'll pretty much be doing the same thing, but a bit more. You just don't take off the oil pan if you're doing an oil change. So for this job, you don't need much. It looks like a T30 star bit, and the plug looks like maybe a T40. So all you need is a star bit set and a wrench, and then you'll want a flathead probably to pry off the oil pan. Alright, let's get started. Should be good. Alright, you have to drain the oil first. So the oil plug is the T45 star bit. I like to just loosen it so that you can take it off by hand and then move your pan there to catch the oil. So this oil plug has a copper washer with it, and if that washer doesn't look good, I would change that. This looked like it could have possibly been leaking just a little bit, so I'll probably change that copper washer just to be safe. And that was a T45 star bit socket for the plug. So you let that oil drain as much as possible so it's maybe dripping, and then you could put the plug back on and seal it up so you don't have any oil dripping on you while you're taking off all the screws, the star bits going around the oil pan. Those look like T30s. Yep, T30. So if you're doing an oil change, you would just let this drain out and then put the plug back on, and then you would take out the oil filter. Let me show you where the oil filter housing is. This right here is your oil filter housing. It would be a pretty big socket, probably a 32 millimeter to get that off. But this unscrews. You can also use pliers. This will unscrew, and inside is your filter. And then you would just swap out the filter with a new filter and screw that back on. You don't tighten these too much because they're plastic, and you can destroy the threads on these. And then you need a whole new cap, which I'm sure is probably 30-40 bucks, even though it's just plastic. Also, with these caps, there's a O-ring, a rubber O-ring on it. You always want to change that on these. It's a big O-ring that goes at the above all the threads. There'll be a little spot for it. You'll see it when you take it off. But the new oil filter comes with that. And it may actually come with a new copper washer for your plug. So this oil pan wasn't leaking, but we have to take this off to see if any of the bearings are bad or the timing chain's loose, because it does have a loud knock in it. This is your oil level sensor here, in case you're having an oil level sensor code. You can change that out pretty quick and easy. You'd have to do this too, though. You'd also have to drain your oil for that. Alrighty. Almost there. So, I think most people could do this job. If you have a leaking oil pan, I'm sure the dealership wants at least $1,000 to do this. You could probably do it in a couple hours. You would need a jack and 2 jack stands at least to jack this up to get underneath the car. Alright, that's pretty good. Let me put this back on so we can get started. Alright. I'm not worried about the washer right now because we're going to take off the pan and I'll swap the washer when we refill it with oil. So you need to unplug your oil level sensor, since that's connected to your oil pan. And then you get your T30 star bit. And I'm going to use my Milwaukee to make it a little bit quicker instead of doing it by hand. Not getting it done without the battery. Normally doesn't really matter which bolt you start on. I like to just work around to make sure you get all of them. You don't want to sit there and pry on it when there's still a screw in it. Make sure you don't lose any of the screws. You do kind of need all of them. If you do lose a screw, you can normally find the same size screw and thread at Ace Hardware or a Home Depot. Collect all these. Alright, you go back over and make sure you have them all. That looks good. So you get your flathead. You may need 2 flatheads. You try to get in between. There are some little spots for you. They did put some little spots there for you to try to catch. This is probably the hardest part of the job, is getting it off. You just work around and try to pry on it. You want to need a bigger flathead. So let me go get a bigger flathead. And maybe a mallet or a hammer. Alright, so I got a little crowbar. It's pretty much the same as a larger flathead. I got a small flathead so that we could try to tap it in between to just separate it. Tap it in between the lower end and that black oil pan. You can hear it start to separate. Normally once you get that in, you're in a good situation. You just hammer that in, you start seeing it start to split open. When you're hammering the flathead, you want to make sure you're not hitting any lower end pieces. So that would be this section here that's dropping down. You want to try to work your way on the outside. Once you get that separated, you can get the bigger flathead. Pry down on it a little bit. Get that big flathead in there. And once you get the big flathead in, you can take the smaller one and go to another spot. This back section looks good. It's pretty common for these oil pans to be tight. You're going to want to have at least 2 or 3 flat heads, different sizes. You want a small one, a medium, and a large.